To the Dean Obeidallah Show. It is Friday, third hour, January 12th. It can only mean one thing. What just happened? We got two great champions, returning champions. We have Carolina Hidalgo, comedian, podcaster, No Dogs in Space on the Last Podcast Network, and Professional Friends Podcast. Joining us now once again to make sense of the week. Carolina, nice to see you. Thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me on bright and early in the morning. And you know what? I like it bright and early. My mind is clear right now.
You're in LA, so it's very coming to us now. Pete Dominick from an undisclosed location. You know, host Pete from his show Stand Up with Pete Dominick, a great podcast. I really recommend it. I've been on it before. Pete Dominick is a great comic. We're friends for a long time. He gave me my start here at SiriusXM, and it's always nice to have him back on. Mr. Dominick, good to see you.
Thank you for addressing me appropriately. Carolina, great to see you and be on with you. And Dean, who canceled?
There's no one canceled. You know what's really interesting, Pete? On Facebook, it gives me memories. You know, we all have the Facebook memories.
Yeah.
And it gave me one this week from 13 years ago when I still had potential and hope. And I was on the Pete Dominick CNN show with Judy Gold. It was me and Judy, and Pete was hosting the CNN show. And it was that picture. And I'm like, look at the hope in my eyes. I was young and full of dreams.
Now you were. I was the one hosting my own show on CNN for 8 weeks, and it was really that was my peak. I was on another time twice. I was on with Mark Maron another time, who's gone on to eclipse everything. He's gone on to be huge. Carolina, where have you been on?
I've been on the Dean Obeidallah show very regularly, and it has done nothing but wonders for me. So I have Dean to thank for, and also indirectly Pete to thank for my career.
Carolina has the Last Podcast Network. She's got her own stuff going on there. Her and her husband touring the nation, doing live podcast events. At least that's what Instagram tells me you're doing. I don't know. I think that's what you're doing.
We are, except we had COVID last week, but now we're okay.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You're back.
We're
back. Both of you survived, or are you single now? No, you both survived. Okay.
We both made it out alive. Thank God.
Very good. Thank God. So let's talk about the fun things of the week. Hunter Biden shows up at the Congressional Oversight Committee hearing where they were trying to hold him in contempt for not complying with the subpoena. So he's like, I'm going to just show up. I'm here to testify. And they still held him in contempt. But the big news was Republican Representative Nancy Mace from South Carolina saying, Hunter Biden, who bribed you to get here? Quote, you have no balls. And I think Hunter should be arrested right here, right now, and go straight to jail. So it just became the clown show that I liked, and I'm glad Hunter did it. Carolyn, let's start with you, because
I know that he has balls. Yes.
Right. Does he know? And is it fun on some level? You've seen the video, probably that's why you know about that Hunter Biden's anatomy. But the Hunter Biden, is it anything better in a way, or is it almost Trumpian that he showed up there and the press followed him, and when he left the room, the press followed him out of the room?
I mean, it's the best way to do it, right? If you're supposedly not doing anything, and then you sit there and you say who was it, Moskowitz, who said, oh, he's ready to testify. Why don't we take a vote to this? And I think one person raised their hand, and I don't think it was to vote. It was to ask a question. So everyone else just kind of sat there staring at their shoes. So it's very obvious that this is all a tactic. And I like that Hunter Biden played along, because why not? I mean, this is all a joke anyways.
It was great. Hunter Biden showed up sort of like Beetlejuice. They said his name so many times, and all of a sudden Hunter Biden's there, and they were stunned. And I talked to a member of the Oversight Committee yesterday, Melanie Stansberry, who said the Democrats didn't even know he was coming. It wasn't like they knew. Maybe the ranking member, Jamie Raskin, but she said no one had told her. She had no idea. She walks in, and there's Hunter Biden. They're like, what is going on? And so what do you think of the move of this, the trolling?
I love it. I thought it was a bold move. I thought it proved he did have balls. It was a ballsy thing to do. And I haven't seen any reporting yet that anybody knew. And it's a weird thing. That's ballsy, too, because if your dad's president, everything you do obviously is reflecting on him. They're trying to impeach him based on, just him being the son that he's paying his dad back for a truck he bought him because he was so pathetic and lost everything. And so the fact that he might not have run it past his dad, and that maybe Jamie Raskin knew, maybe he didn't.
I don't know if he did, but maybe he didn't.
Oh, you would know. You talked to him all the time. What you just asked him about
Jamie, I didn't. Maybe we'll see Jamie tomorrow. But no. But Melanie Stansberry said, a Democratic member, that
so if he just
not tipped off at all,
showed up there and said, "I'm here. Let's fight. Let's go," and then the Republicans look like huge cowards when they're like, I don't want to. And then they're like, you don't have balls. And all the women, Nancy Mace yelling, oh, you're going to interrupt me because I'm a woman, which was such a cheap play at sexism, something I never call women out for, except if it's Nancy Mace. So I thought it was really, they looked terrible and they looked cowardly by not asking the guy questions. And he looked like his balls were big, giant brass ones. And it worked out, I think. The news cycle, I think, handled it fairly well.
I'm not a big fan of manspreading, but I love the manspreading that he did during that whole thing. Because you're right. It is like the videos when you see the two chihuahuas with the gate between them fighting, and then you open the gate and then they're all like, what was I saying? And then you close the gate again and they start barking again. It was exactly that. And it was kind of funny to watch. For once, something was interesting.
And Fox, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I just want to quickly compare if any of the witnesses, the Republican congressmen like Jim Jordan, who were subpoenaed to show up at the January 6 hearings, if they had just showed up like that, there wouldn't be anything like that. They would have been like, thank you. Here are the questions we have for you to answer. These are really important. What were you doing? Did you send this email? Did you write this text? Did you know this thing? But he didn't show up. They never surprised anybody. And whenever Democrats in the past, remember, I'm old enough to remember Hillary Clinton on Benghazi, 11 hours. She showed up and took Mike Pompeo's pathetic and insulting questions. So I think people saw the double standard. Even Republicans who had a shot at Hunter Biden were like, you didn't take it?
And Fox News was not kind to the Republicans. And even Charlie Kirk, the idiot, was like, you all look dumb, Republicans on the committee. And that was a news cycle. What was really odd is like Marjorie Taylor Greene actually waited for her turn and got recognized and then wanted to say something. And Hunter Biden walks out and she's like, the best she'd come up with is, I guess he's afraid of strong conservative women. Yeah. And meanwhile, Nancy Mace is making Marjorie Taylor Greene look like a model of decorum. Like she waited for her turn. She didn't yell balls out or anything.
I thought it was crazy when Hunter turned around and said, please, you know how many strong conservative women I've paid to have sex with?
Wow. It's kind of interesting how it worked out. And Pete makes a good point. It's the president's son who has Secret Service, I assume, too. So it's not like just show up. There is something going on. Someone saved those seats. Have you ever been to congressional committee hearings? There's a line outside generally, and there's services you can pay. I'm not kidding. That'll wait online for you. And then you can go in and sit down. So I assume that's what they did if Raskin, the Democratic ranking member, wasn't on board.
I did that at Disney.
Oh, Disney? It was a different thing. Were there members of Congress involved on the ride when you got in, like on the long flume or the Small World? It was.
I just paid an undocumented person to wait in line for me so my family could move.
Oh my God!
I would totally wait in line for money. That seems more fun, to be honest.
It's really an easy job, but it gets boring. I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but it does look kind of boring. They get there. You know what? You feel guilty though. Like I did it once for a hearing to write an article for an organization, not like a news group, but an organization. So I got, and this person was waiting 2 hours, and right before the hearing they go, just show up 5 minutes before. Literally, I did. And the guy's been there like 2 hours, look like death. And I'm like, I am here. Thanks for waiting. And I felt kind of, he just leaves and I go in his spot. And I know that was the job, but I felt dirty as a result.
And it turned out it was Chris Christie.
Chris Christie, our next topic. Thank you. Pete Dominick. That's how good Pete is. Instinctually, he moves us to the next topic because he understands that's been explored as much as possible. I'm chatting with Carolina Hidalgo and Pete Dominick. So Chris Christie drops out of the GOP race, and the headline is the hot mic moment when he said, she's going to get smoked. Yeah. And then he said, she's not up to this. You and I both know it. She's not up to this. And everyone assumed it was Nikki Haley. What if it was somebody else? Like, isn't it kind of weird that everyone assumed that was Nikki Haley? He didn't say Nikki Haley. Pete, let me start with you. Is it fair to assume he meant Nikki Haley? Or because really the open mic, hot mic says he didn't say her name. And I don't know if they challenged him later or asked him later. Did you mean Nikki Haley or did you mean someone else?
Yeah, he absolutely meant Nikki Haley, and he probably knew they were recording and that was going to get out. He probably said, "Wink, wink." I wouldn't be upset if that got put out there. But no, actually, it doesn't really help Nikki Haley, I suppose, if it does get out there, right? So he probably didn't do that. I just argued against myself because I don't really care about what happened here. They're both going. They all get smoked by Donald Trump, and that's really where the focus should be. So I defer to Carolina on the audio tape.
Who's getting smoked, Carolina? Is it Nikki Haley?
It was kind of entertaining. Again, we had a semi-entertaining week in the middle of the infuriatingness that is the country's politics. Chris Christie, his sound bites about how he wants nothing but Trump to go down. That's fun, even though, we'll never, I'm from New York, right? I spent 16 years in New York. Of course, I'll never forget Bridgegate or how he wears pants. But beyond that, though, I
over
still
his belly
have
button,
fun.
right? He wears pants over his belly button. Very Stan Laurel. Is it Stan Hardy? Is it Laurel or Hardy? It's one of those he dresses like. I can't remember between the two.
A lot.
Yeah. It is. It's adorable. I find it adorable, and just the same thing as this is not necessarily adorable, but I don't think it's really that much. It's not really a thing. To me, it's a nothing burger. He says what he wants to say. Good for him. I don't care about Chris Christie, to be honest.
And neither do Republicans.
No one does.
Exactly. So no one cares. Nikki Haley, who knows? Is she going to be smoked? Yeah, but is she looking for VP? Probably. And so that's the whole point of all this stuff, isn't it? I mean, unless something else happened that I don't know about.
No, I think it was a perfect analysis. But Pete, let me ask you, Chris Christie said about Republicans supporting Trump, the elected officials, quote, like, they know better. I'm like, no, it's not that. It's not like they're holding their nose anymore. They're down with this guy. They're excited about him. John Barrasso, the third ranking member of the Senate this week, endorsed Donald Trump. The guy, Donald Trump, attempted a coup, is charged with felonies for attempting this coup. The guy who gave us January 6th, who's vowed to pardon the terrorists and calls them hostages. It's not like they know better. I disagree. I think they see it and they're like, this guy, I don't care how he wins, he's going to deliver us power. And that's what we're all about. That's my sense. What do you think, Pete?
I think that I have a boring answer and then a fun answer.
Go ahead, do both.
You can look at history and you can see this kind of thing playing out throughout European and even American history, and people siding with authoritarians and autocrats and fascism taking hold. So, that's what we're seeing. People are making bets. I'd rather have everything in my life just fall out before saying I support somebody that I don't, or even a product that I don't. If you don't have integrity, what do you have? That's my serious, somber answer. But we've seen this play out through history. But I also just think that it's really important to call these people exactly what they are all the time, because when you see someone really being critical of a potential Donald Trump for president, which so many Republicans were, Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and all the rest were so critical. They said he was the worst person, he'll destroy the party. And then he gets elected and then they turn. What is that? Who can respect that? No matter what it is. I mean, guys will argue about Chevrolet and Ford pickups and it'll be more serious, but you could support a guy that you once thought was the worst in the world. Who does that about anything, a sport, a truck, much less a person? Those are the people. We've seen them throughout human history. Watch them and call them names.
I like that. Being Sicilian, we're all about grudges. We hold them for generations.
Oh, yeah,
so
same.
You're right. You piss me off. That's it. I have Sicilian side. It's not going to work. So the Carolina, people brought up the idea of authoritarianism and people will support them to get their goals. If there was a really liberal demagogue authoritarian, but he would deliver everything you want on terms of every policy we want from the left. I'm going to give you Medicare for all. I'm going to make sure we take care of the most vulnerable in this country. We're going to help the dreamers and make sure they have a path to citizenship. All this good stuff. Student loan debt, we'll get rid of it because all you have to do in return is give up your democracy, but I can deliver it. Is there any a little bit of you go like, well, look, I love democracy, but for a temporary dictator for a few days, years, maybe we can deliver and shake up the system. He goes, you make me president/dictator, I'll get rid of big money in politics. There'll be no more big money in politics. No,
there's no chance. That's still a cult. It's going to end up ugly no matter what in the end, because that's how it is. As like what Pete was talking about, 20th century politics, a lot of it was that in European countries of like, I'm going to feed your families. I'm going to change farming and agriculture, and everyone's going to, and then at the end of it, it's like a serfdom and people are starving. So it never ends. The cult is like look at Jim Jones, right? Jonestown, like he was big on civil rights, and he was big on Black, white, Latino, all kinds of people coming together, working together in a better society. And then we all know how that turned out. So no, there's no demagogue. It should be the liberal biases are always about like trying to do what's best and then learning from that and then evolving and continuing to evolve. A progressive. That's the whole point of it. It's not just keeping to one thing.
I just want to register how softball of a question and how preposterous of a question it is that you created for Carolina. And I mean, like this liberal demagogue that would be.
Why? What do you keep? You're going to say there's not going to be one?
That would
Have you heard of Huey Long?
No,
Huey Long, the Kingfisher from Louisiana in 1930s. He was running against FDR. He was an authoritarian. He delivered for the people of Louisiana so much good stuff that they were ecstatic for him. He also used violence. And the point is, I keep telling people, I know no one on the right's going to listen to me, but I tell them, you don't want a Democratic demagogue. If you're not going to put Trump in jail for what he's done, then why won't a Democrat do a similar thing down the road? And that's what concerns me. Like the guy, Trump should die in prison. And I don't mean, stabbed in the shower. God forbid, things happen. But I'm not saying that's not what I want.
The showers are slippery. That's
right.
Fine.
I'm saying, but he has to die as an instruction, as a warning, as a cautionary tale. And people on the right hate this when I say this. I say this whenever on cable news.
It's not that it hasn't happened in the past, but what you're saying, there's a difference between a liberal demagogue. There's lots of liberal demagogues, but someone being against a liberal progressive leader that has this huge following that also wants to destroy democracy and not allow the outcome of the vote to be it, not allow people to vote and create access to the poll. Like, I don't see Democrats supporting some kind of prevention. I mean, I guess I should be fair. It is kind of what a lot of us liberals do with our Apple TV subscriptions. So I have given up a lot just to have that Apple TV. I cannot cancel it. They have a lot of stuff I like. I'm in.
Is that a sponsor for your podcast? That's what this just did? You just do a commercial for one of your sponsors for your podcast?
I was just thinking of what companies are more of a burden that I should probably let go but can't.
If you don't think if Trump gets back in and really just does damage to democracy, then there's so much reaction, opposite reaction. And then if a Democrat wins and goes, look, folks, look what Trump did to us. I'm staying in here for 10 or 12 years. We're going to do all the good things to help people. I'm not saying that we'd all be down, but if Trump actually got in and dismantled democracy and stayed there until he died, say 10, 12 years, then a Democrat comes in, do we still play by the rules? Because on the right, they're saying the Trump prosecution is us lawfare. We violated every rule, the red line of politics.
I can only speak for myself. I will always stand on the side of allowing people to stand in line and vote. I believe in people and systems enough to believe that if we allow people to vote, and not everywhere, not all the time, we will elect people who represent what we believe. Certainly, I see that all the time right now with Democrats. This group of Democrats in Congress, are representing in so many ways what the grassroots progressive movement has created there. And I just don't see this scenario that you're painting for us to become that. I know that I would move before I would ever become that. I don't want to tell someone they can't vote because I don't agree with them. I don't want to look at the outcome of vote and say, we didn't win, but we're going to cheat and lie about it. And I would never be a part of that. And I suspect Carolina would.
Well,
only if we are living in Lord of the Rings at the end of it.
Point.
Then I think that's okay. But there are exceptions to every rule. So,
I love Pete's monologue because then in the movie you would cut to him going, "Look, everyone, democracy is overrated. Let's just do this. We're all going to get what we wanted." The whole thing is, look, you get to vote. It just won't count. That's the thing. Like it's like Hungary. In Hungary, people still vote. It's the charade of democracy, but Viktor Orban's party is going to win every national election. That's what happens.
I will support a Democrat for president who will order SEAL Team 6 to bring Rudy Giuliani to a place and leave him there. That's all I'll say.
All I know is Peter's
That's not a bad idea.
He's trying to get us to the next topic, which I think is really a great topic. We're talking with Carolina Hidalgo and Pete Dominick. Earlier this week, before the U.S. Court of Appeals, there was an appeal of Donald Trump's denial of his motion to dismiss all of the 4 felonies in the January 6th case in D.C., claiming he's got immunity. Anything he does in office, there's the legal nuance to their argument, but really the essence is whatever you do in office as president, Trump's arguing you can get away with it. And the only qualifier would be is if the president was impeached and removed for that exact charge. That's the only time you can charge them with any crimes. That's what got to the SEAL Team 6 point where Judge Pan said, well, if the president is not impeached and convicted, then they can order SEAL Team 6 to kill their political opponent and not be prosecuted. And the lawyer had to go, well, I give a but it was such a game and it was outrageous. So, Carolina, is this saying Joe Biden should send SEAL Team 6 out? I mean, is that what let's just did it get done with? Like, why even have an election? We can have an election. We just get rid of the opponents that are polling ahead of him.
Right. And it's weird that you asked me, someone who grew up in Mexico, who is Colombian, where that kind of stuff has actually happened in the 90s.
SEAL Team 6?
No, it's much less
is there a Spanish name for
than
it?
that.
It's got a different name, but they're more effective.
Yes, exactly.
I just want to say something like a Spanish name for it would be just too much fun. I don't know.
Colosio. Colosio is the one word I can say. That man was murdered in the middle of a campaign when I was a child.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was one of the front runners in Mexico City. And then the peso crashed, and then everything went to shit. And it wasn't because I moved there. It was just it had nothing to do with me. I swear. Did you 9.
Kill Colasio?
As a 9-year-old.
Did your family have to go? No, but your family are you witness protection right now? Is your name really Carolina Hidalgo?
Yes, and I love to go public and entertainment, hiding in plain sight.
Oh my God, you're the Gaudis of Mexico. You're the Sopranos. I'm just watching the Sopranos again. It's 25th anniversary, which shows how quickly my life is just expired. That is the 25th anniversary this week of the kickoff. I should have put that on the list of topics. Anyway, let's get back to your family's involvement in the killing of the Mexican candidate. So
I want your producer Matt to send me this episode immediately, as soon as we're done recording. But no, I of course that seems ridiculous. And then when they finally kind of flip that on the Republicans or on Trump's his lawyer, who was also a part of trying to overthrow the election and everything, it just seems like a big joke. Like, they just imagine that they have their argument and no one's going to listen to the actual sound reasonable part of it, so Biden can do that. And they're like, don't be ridiculous. Only Trump, because there is some sort of demagogue thing going on. Like, they do believe that Jesus died and Trump is now that reincarnation or something. It is out of this world at this point. Yeah.
I have a weird thing I want to float by you, Dean, and Carolina. I say Dean
Should
first.
We go off the air
legal
for this?
background.
Okay.
First of all,
you want to approach the bench?
I just got a message in my ear that your producer Matt has been black bagged and taken away. What is going on, Carolina? What do you want to say?
Carolina, Erin has just moved up to official producer until the same thing happens to her, and Matt's coming back here. So
here's my question.
Approach the bench. We'll call this approach the bench with Dean Obeidallah. You may approach the bench, Mr. Dominick. Yes.
Haven't we on the left or far left, the Democracy Now!, the old Glenn Greenwald, the Noam Chomsky left, haven't we always said that U.S. presidents have committed war crimes, including Obama, for like the drone attacks and some of the incursions in other countries that he did without a congressional authority? So obviously Bush, and you could say Clinton and Bush before him with the Gulf War, the far left and that crowd I just kind of named have always said those were war crimes. And so the argument could be, well, every president has been guilty of crimes and they should be brought up on charges. Every president. Wouldn't the left say that? So isn't Trump in a way kind of right? Like, you got to let presidents have immunity or we can't shoot missiles at wedding parties where we think they're bad people. I'm just saying. What do you think?
I think I'm not answering your questions. It's my show. But in any event, if it was my show, if it was your show, if a president acts in bad faith, then if it's an official, there's a distinction between official acts, like you're doing something in the furtherance of national security. No one can deny it's for national security. We can say it's wrong. It might even be illegal. So perhaps then you can have a hearing on whether it's criminal or not, whether there's immunity. What Trump did was just personal. And that's what takes it out of the realm of that. So it makes it much easier. Trump tried to overturn the election.
Everything's personal with Trump. Right. That's the biggest thing about it.
Yeah. President Biden last night said more of the Houthis sent missiles with Yemen, with our British counterparts to go after the group there that's been affecting marine traffic through the Red Sea. And it's kind of interesting just to see. We see that all the time. That's, to me, you could debate that. That's more of a political issue than an actual criminal act. I think crimes are crime. I mean, Trump was the guy incited an insurrection, a terrorist attack. It's just beyond me.
Well, Biden ordered that the Houthi rebels, along, as you said, with the British, to be attacked because he heard James Comer was on one of those small pirate ships. So in the end, it's just like what the hypothetical was. Could you murder your political opponents? And I hear what you're saying with the differential, but a whole bunch of Democratic congressmen came out last night reprimanding President Biden for ordering that without congressional approval.
You know what's interesting is that the Houthis were actually named after a guy. I'm looking for his first name. His last name's El Houthi. He was killed like in 2004. But it's interesting. These are just like groups named after people. Like I want a group like the Dean Thieves. Right. I want the Dean Thieves, like the Dean El Thieves or something like that. Them. It's also the party, the name of the Houthis, their real name, their party, as the last name is Allah in it, like Obeidallah. So I can have the Obeidallahs or something along those lines.
I would totally stand in line with you with the Dean Heaths, just so you know, for money.
Carolina Hidalgo, we don't want. Check with Carolina Hidalgo and Pete Dominick. All right, so let's take a break. I want to come back Monday, Iowa caucus, and just predictions. There's no wrong answers, but Trump's got a lot of pressure. He's got to win by 35 points, and there is cold weather coming to Iowa and all these other excuses I'm hearing right now. Laura Loomer, who's insane, a vile, despicable bigot and part of Trump world, literally said a short time ago, I'm not even kidding, she blamed Nikki Haley for using, quote, weather control to steal the Iowa caucus. So this is just so much fun. So let's take a break and come back and chat with our friends Pete and Carolina right after this. Ready? And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. It still remains Friday, January 12th. And surprisingly, Carolina and Pete are both here. So this is great to have.
And your producer is still here. This is great.
I can't vouch for him, but I can say you guys here, I can see you. Now, I'm not kidding. Laura Loomer, who is part of the Trump world, who's an anti-Muslim bigot, just vile and despicable, said Nikki Haley using weather control to steal the Iowa caucus. Now, that's ridiculous. I'm not saying she doesn't have access to weather control. She could. But what I like about this is that they're beginning the whisper campaign of it's rigged, it was stolen, is already happening to percolate. And right now, the average poll, Real Clear Politics average poll shows Trump winning Iowa caucus by 32 to 35 points. If it comes in that he only wins by 12, the media is going to be like, oh, whoever came in second is really the winner. And we're going to hear Trump and his side say the election was rigged and stolen. That's what I so desperately want to see, because I don't think they can beat him. So, Caroline, let's start with you. The idea of, do you think there could be a surprise, and one of those being that Trump doesn't win by what he wants to win by, and he starts yelling it's rigged and stolen and beginning that insanity there against the GOP, which I hope happens?
Well, I'm definitely not going to be surprised that Trump is going to yell about something being rigged or stolen, just like every 7-year-old boy I knew in school when they didn't win something. It's like that's going to be the part that's not going to be a surprise. As far as if he wins or not, I'm not sure. To be honest, the Iowa caucus is kind of like the avatar of the politics stage now. I don't know. It was a really big thing, and now I don't even know if I care anymore. And who knows, like at what point this is really going to matter. And so, to me, I'm just not going to be surprised at how ugly it's going to be. What's going to happen? I don't know. I want to hear what you guys have to think, because I'm racking my brain every time I thought this can't possibly happen. It happens. So. You can't go by me. I'm not a good magic 8-ball.
Pete will answer it. Pete does an impression of John McLaughlin.
Yes,
wrong.
Please.
This is how it goes. Pete, what do you think? Iowa, any surprise? And if Trump doesn't have the blowout victory, then he'll be lashing out nonstop, self-destructively, I hope.
I'm trying to summon my John McLaughlin impression from the past. Dean, Trump will go as the conservative Christian evangelical vote will go. That is what matters. Iowa is a state of Christian nationalists. That's all you need to know. Next question.
That is pretty good. I think his voice is a little deeper. You made him more of like
I think I nailed it.
William F. Buckley type of.
I think people they tuned in thinking they were listening to the McLaughlin group. But I think McLaughlin makes a good point there, my McLaughlin, which is conservative Christian right. Iowa has really changed. It has become a lot more conservative. Specifically, we're talking about a Republican primary, or as they call it, and what they do there is a caucus. But these are the Republican voters. And so a lot of them are the Christian nationalist type. They're what used to be called evangelical, but I don't like that word anymore because I think most of them have crossed over into becoming and believing that Donald Trump is Jesus incarnate. And they believe like a lot of the QAnon stuff and a lot of other crazy stuff. Those are the people that are voting in Iowa. And in the past, they voted for people like Rick, what's his name? the former
Santorum?
right, and Ted Cruz and others. Those are the people who those people support Donald Trump. I don't think they've moved from him because he's their orange Jesus.
So if Jesus was going to come back, he'd come back look like an orange turkey. That's what we're getting at right now. He looks like a turkey. Have you seen him? He's like a turkey in a suit.
If Jesus came back and he was there, Trump would immediately fire him because he would take the spotlight away. I
don't like to mock people's looks, but Trump, for a guy who's all about his looks, should at this point be having a chin lift or something, because that is orange turkey, and it's unnerving, and that's all I can see when I look at him now. It's very unnerving, and I don't like it. So
his neck is a turn on for some people.
And, it's awful. So let's talk about that other guy in the White House, Joe Biden.
Carolina just left.
Carolina's still here. Hunter Biden.
Oh, I'm back. Yes, I'm back now.
Hunter Biden is his father, Joe Biden, is running for president. If you watch corporate media, though, you wouldn't know it. Corporate media does Joe Biden gives a speech and they cover it for like 18 to 20 minutes, which they did it last Friday. And then it's like, Trump did this, Trump did that, Trump did this, Trump did that. If you see what Trump did, I can't believe what Trump did. Oh my God. And they're like, where's Biden? Why? And I love when they go, Trump sucked up all the oxygen in the room. You're literally on air just talking about Trump. You have just sucked the oxygen up by doing that. And then like the other Republicans can't get any airtime. I'm like, you have no self-awareness whatsoever. Like I literally watch anchors have segments about that. And I'm like, you're doing this. So Carolina, what does Biden have to do to cut through here? Does he need Hunter Biden to give the State of the Union, perhaps, so everyone covers it for like 3 days? Like Hunter Biden showed up for the State of the Union. Like that's there you go. Look how he trolls. He's so good. The people go like, wow, clever. What a clever move. That's what they would go like. That was clever. And then they have a whole panel on how clever it was. Was it too clever? They have like 2 days of coverage. That's what Biden's got to do, because him delivering State of the Union means nothing. It doesn't get unless he fights with MTG again.
Yeah, no, that is true. Or maybe he can do another forceful speech that got him attention for at least a day and a half, which is obviously not enough. But, aren't we all taking the bait? I mean, we all are. As I told you, Dean, back when Biden won and Trump was gone for like a nice little while, we had a nice little vacation, and I made it a point to never click on anything that said Trump. And that worked for like, how many months, until your producer asked me to come back to the show, and then I had to. So, I mean, this is where we are now. I don't know if there's any other way, but just hope of all hopes that people will fucking vote, man.
That's it.
I agree with everything Carolina said, but I don't really, again, I push back on, to some extent, the premise. I hear the way you laid it out, but we understand how kind of news works. You're indicting mainly corporate media, and I think you're probably talking about television news.
Not your part. Don't take this personally. It wasn't about your show. Your show is much better, much more nuanced, a lot of detail.
I don't watch any television news. I only read it.
Pete's show is much more.
But I would watch Pete's show if I started watching television news. Yes, exactly. When is it?
It's coming up. It's going to be coming up on a
time machine.
Okay.
It was 13 years ago. But he has Stand Up with Pete podcast, which is very good, and you can watch that.
I love podcasts. Let's do that.
So everybody should do that right now. That's the most important point, Dean. Thank you for making up. Stand Up with Pete daily. Okay, but here's the thing. I mean, the reason why we talk about him, let me make the case. What if we didn't? What if we weren't talking about him? The man has been indicted. What if he wasn't indicted? We'd be screaming that he wasn't indicted. I think you were. Now he's been indicted. Mm-hmm. Well, do we look away from these court cases? Do we look away from the fact that he is using Nazi rhetoric? How are we supposed to look away? I think journalists have to continue to put a light on him, and it's two things can be true. They could be talking about him too much and Biden not enough, but that's because Joe Biden is doing his job.
But isn't. Let me stop you, Pete Dominick. You're from your moral high ground and your ivory tower of looking at the world. Pete disappeared. Doesn't President Biden have an obligation to figure out ways to get in the media, to inspire people, to make them show that he's a fighter? The biggest complaint I have from listeners is not Biden on policy. There are some things like Gaza was one of the big exceptions, but putting like that aside, it's the idea of people call up and say, I want Biden to be more of a fighter. And what they mean is they want to see him, and him just doing the normal work of president is not enough. It's the permanent campaign. This is now for decades, the permanent campaign, that idea. We are in a campaign year. He's got to come out more.
You're worse than the right wing with this horrible claim that you just made, because
people call my show and tell me this. I'm telling you what they're telling me.
I know they do.
I'm not making this up.
All of them. I'll ask all of them. I'll piss them all off right now, and you too. I'll push on everybody here listening. What do you want him to do? You made a joke about having Hunter Biden come. When the president is presidenting, when he's actually governing, there's only just so many things he can do. You think his social media team isn't doing the right thing? You think Biden's not giving the right speeches or enough? You think that they should be used?
Press conferences.
Tell me.
He has done the
like
least press conferences. He's done the least prpress conferences of any president in the modern era. That Brian Carr, my buddy, I don't know if you know Brian from Salon.
Yeah, I know.
Brian has talked about like they hated Trump.
Good,
Trump would be very accessible, and that would make news whenever the president has a press conference. That makes news. Do more press conferences. Get out there. What is wrong with you?
I have an idea. I know this might be crazy, but when we get the Avengers on this, not the literal Avengers, but I mean, why don't we get like a whole team of all the Democrats that are anybody, Obama, anybody, Bernie, Al Franken, just get them out there and get them out there to spread the word in every way possible. Because maybe Biden shouldn't do a 45-minute speech out in the cold right now. But maybe if we can get like a whole group of people, that's how Civil War worked out. And I mean, the movie worked out. So if we try that, it's worth a shot, is all I'm saying.
Are things going well, Pete? I mean, how do you feel about President Biden? I don't mean the economy. How do you feel about President Biden's chances in 2024 now?
I think he's dark Brandon. I think he's quiet storm. I think we're talking about something a year away. I think 2 months ahead of time, what Carolina
298 days is just 298 days away.
What Carolina just suggested is going to be exactly what they're going to do. It's a full court press. You're going to have Obama wearing a cape flying all over it, and everybody on social media. There's going to be a huge campaign. I guarantee it. But more importantly, just back to your point about the more press conferences, I'm old enough to remember, we all are, when President Obama gave a press conference in the East Room, and it was all about healthcare. It was supposed to be about healthcare, promoting healthcare. And he said one thing about that police officer in Cambridge who arrested a black man on his cat. And that's all they talked about. It's all
they make news.
Biden to come out and give a press conference. Biden get 9 out of 10 questions are perfect. One question, he doesn't say the right thing, says the wrong thing. That's all media will focus on.
That's fine.
That's the way media. Podcasting. That's podcasting.
I got no problem with that. He's dominating. There is a finite amount of time in corporate media. But I will say this, Pete, which Pete wasn't insightful enough to make this point, unfortunately. So let me be insightful. Cable news is dying. I think we all know it. Fox News, they just had the report. It won last year. It's down like literally 35% from the year before. It is, CNN is contracted so much from the days Pete used to go on and I used to go on. MSNBC had a good year, but we're talking about their best primetime show, Rachel Maddow, on a Monday, that's the only night she hosts, 2 million viewers. It used to be like 4 million. Even Tucker Carlson left. Since then, Jesse Waters is getting 2 million viewers. People have checked out, and more, and people are disconnecting from cable. There was something I saw about 20 million people have disconnected from cable in the last 5 or 6 years. They're not watching any of that. They're watching YouTube. They're watching Pete's show, which they should. They're listening to podcasts like Carolina. Maybe they're listening to SiriusXM Radio.
I got more listeners than that. Yeah, that's insane.
So the point is things have changed that dramatically where maybe I'm looking at it through an old blinders. Like if he's not in cable news, he's not making news. So then he can get out there and do more of interviews on the guys from the Obama, the former speechwriters.
It's all the same, though. It's all the same. A cable news clip doesn't get watched in the ratings, but it goes so viral everywhere else, and we all talk about it and play it. So what you're saying, Biden could go do, Between Two Ferns, that would then get played everywhere. It's all kind of the same. We're all accessing the same it's all accessible to all of us, and we decide as a culture, I suppose, and a society, what things are going to rise at the top. Wherever they go, wherever Biden goes, we're all going to hear it, and we're all going to feel the way we feel.
So you agree with me then? That's where we can wrap this up. Let's wrap up this segment. Pete agrees with me. Now, Pete concedes I'm right. Now, all right, Pete, we can disagree on this, and then when we'll come back when we're in the camp, when Trump's president, we're broadcasting from a camp. It's like, you know what? Maybe Biden should have got out there a little more. But I will say it is early. There's a lot of time to go, and I think it's my own neurosis, being as neurotic as I am as a New Yorker, New Jersey guy, where I want him to be out there and be bigger than life more. So let's talk about some things in our industry, humor, comedy. And I knew this was coming. I would joke about it. I didn't expect it to actually happen. George Carlin, artificial intelligence special. These guys, 15 years after Carlin died, these guys, they're not pretending it's not AI, but they put stuff together, and they even announced Will Sasso's involved with Pat from Mad TV, another guy, Chad Colgan, and they said, I just want to let you know very clearly that what you're about to hear is not George Carlin. It's my impersonation of Carlin I developed, and they use AI. And Kelly Carlin was not happy at all, the daughter of it. But is this the beginning of the end? Are we just going to be all AI'd? Or Carolina, what is your take on AI and being used to show dead people's acts that they didn't even write?
Yeah, I don't like it. It's easy. Who likes? I don't like it. Call me whatever you want about that. Of course, no one likes it, and it takes a human touch to really get into humor. Everyone knows this, especially you guys know this. You can try all you want, but in the end, it's going to be like that robot puppy that everyone got in the early 2000s. It's going to be in a landfill in 2 months. I don't know why. Like, try it all you want, but it's the human touch is the most important part of comedy, of humor, of picking up as things progress, because sometimes the actual the room will change by seconds instead of years or whatever. So I really don't see this being a real thing. But again, as we said, Dean, I've been wrong before.
Carolina has been wrong on occasion.
I think
yes.
Pete Dominick, hang on. Let's wait. Pete Dominick's got some thoughts. Yes,
I fully
Pete?
disagree.
Let's tune in.
I fully disagree with Carolina.
How dare you? We're going to cut this from the broadcast. Go ahead, though. Just for us, tell us.
Because I think a lot of people like Carolina who are really talented don't want to see some AI-generated bullshit. But someone like me, AI will make me funnier. So I'm for this.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But Kelly Carlin said, quote, her father spent a lifetime perfecting his craft from his very human life, brain, and imagination, that no machine will ever replace George Carlin's genius. And she decried the use of AI, saying trying to recreate a mind that will never exist again. And she then implored everybody to seek out his 14 specials. I disagree with my good friend Kelly Carlin, again, for selfish reasons. Like, AI is going to make me better and more tolerable. Maybe you too, Dean.
For you, the Atari Pong can make you better, folks. Go back. The original Space Invaders could make me funnier. I tell the audience, if you don't like my jokes, don't blame me. They were written by AI. That's what I say in my little comedy skit that I do. Like, I love when people go, "Do you do a comedy skit?" Yeah, I do a comedy skit. You moron. What planet did you come from? It's called stand-up comedy. There's no skit. It's me just pouring out my heart. But Pete and Carolina, let's be honest. There is money to be made. There's gold in them darn hills, right? Someone's going to AI, they're going to package it, they're going to sell stuff, and then it's going to be lawsuits in a way analogous, I guess, to maybe Napster, going way back to like stealing music, that kind of thing, where people, if you put up an AI thing and you promote it, it's George Carlin and brand new, we just found it, and you put it online and pay $1. Well, yeah, there'll be lawsuits, but you got to go chase those people. And if they're not in America, they can do it with a button. You're going to see that, or more importantly, in a way, more immediately, wait till 2024 election when there's videos of Joe Biden not saying what he's saying at all, but they make it up. It looks just like him, and they put it out there. And good luck convincing people in the middle. Like,
I'm not kidding around. I'm not kidding around. If I'm elected, I'm not kidding around. I'm going to come personally take your guns and your Bibles. I'm not kidding around.
Not kidding. No joke, right? That's what. No joke. No joking. He whispers even always like, "I'm just not kidding." It's almost like Clint Eastwood.
Actually, I'm going to send Hunter to get them.
It's almost like a Clint Eastwood, like, "Make my day, punk." He should just say that. "Make my day, punk." I can't remember how many bullets from my gun in all the commotion. You feeling lucky, punk? That's what it sounds like. It sounds like he should have a cowboy hat, Biden, and the sunglasses on.
He does have that swagger by getting things done. That's why we call him Dark Brandon. He bumbles up there. He waits. He's patient and not always fiery. And then shit happens. And that's why he's going to be able to pull off another win, especially if it's against Donald Trump, who's likely to be guilty of crimes at that point.
So let's shift gears to a comedian that maybe could have used the help of AI. Joe Coy hosting the Golden Globes. I've only met Joe once or twice. I don't know him. I met him opening for Russell Peters, and he was in the show. He was the headliner, actually, because Russell, this is years ago, like 10 years ago. And Russell was saying, Joe Coy is so strong in my own show, I can't follow him. So Russell would host the show. I'm not even kidding. Host it, bring up comics, and then Joe would close it. It was called Russell Peters and Friends. Yeah. And Joe, and I watched him twice, destroy. So I feel for him. He got the Golden Globes gig just a short time ago. But it's weird, though. He said during the set, I got the gig 10 days ago. You want a perfect monologue? Shut up. You're kidding, right? And he goes, I wrote some of the jokes, and those are the ones you're laughing at. And so some people took this from a comic point of view. I get it. But from everyone else in the industry, they're like, he threw the writers under the bus. So Carolina, I don't know if you watched it at all. I thought it was okay. I was watching. I'm like, it wasn't the funniest. It was like, okay, it wasn't like good, but it wasn't horrible. But the reviews were awful of it. So what do you think, Carolina?
Well, I mean, I saw only like a few snippets of it because every time I watch someone bomb, I bomb. So I have to try to avoid it as much as humanly possible. It's like kind of like the Ring video, but
never watched Dean perform then.
Oh, shut up. Unbelievable.
He does need AI. No, anyway, I do think that Joe, like, I think his thing was just that, and I did see this from Mike Lawrence said this, a good buddy of ours. He did say like, well, he kind of showed up in the middle of his set, and he should have established more of who he was and why he was there, even though he's very, very established within the comedy community that we know so well. All these actors who are like in the middle of vying for a Golden Globe, like their minds are elsewhere. They're not there for a comedy show. So right. I think that there were some missteps, but obviously I will never, ever host an award show like in that caliber. So yeah, it took some guts, and he definitely looked really scared up there. He looked like me the first 10 years I did comedy. And sometimes now, and I feel bad for him in that sense, but you know, talking about the writers, I don't know if that was the best thing to do to the public. I mean, to just to complain to us, that would have been one thing, but I don't know if it was a great idea.
By the way, in case you don't know, Pete Dominick was the stand-in for Joe Coy during the Golden Globes because he looks just like him. So, shall I call you Joe Coy the rest of the show, Joe? So, how did you feel on stage? How was it up there?
I look a lot like an Asian Joe Coy. He looks like a white Pete. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I know Joe pretty well because I know him through stand-up, but I also know him through the show that I used to host that you took over for me. And
I'm on a different channel. We're on the same channel.
I love you and John Fugel saying, and I'm super proud of everything you're doing. Seriously.
John's happy that he took the show, but I feel guilty about
I love my Shed podcast. Joe Coy is a great comedian. Joe Coy is a brilliant guy. Joe Coy is a great guy as far as I know. And as my daughter, who's being giving me her opinion, I was gonna say she's being a dick. Can you say that about Joe Coy? She's like, I don't like his jokes. I don't like what he said about Barbie. Like, why did he have to do that? It wasn't even funny. Here's the point. He's not there for my daughter. Joe Coy sells out arenas around the world. His audience is overwhelmingly Asian diaspora, mostly Filipino, but all over. Like, they love him. And if any one of them didn't know he existed, and most of them do, because everyone I meet who's Filipino asks me when they find out I'm a comedian, do you know Joe Coy? They all now found out about him. Joe Coy.
Did you just do an accent? Did you just do a Filipino accent?
On the map for more people to sell tickets to. He's the big winner, no matter what, like my daughter or anybody else thinks. And who else was taking that gig? I turned it down.
By the way, I have Taylor Swift calling in right now, and she didn't like the joke. She's like, I'm sorry. I love America and all that, but look, you're right. Joe Coy's got better known now as a result of this, for good or bad. And now people had no idea who he was.
Brilliant.
And it is interesting that these guys, I wonder why people kept turning it down, because if they didn't get to him early enough in the process. I imagine, would you host an award show, Carolina?
Yeah.
No.
Never. No, I've hosted things that I regretted halfway through, and they were not even nearly as big as an award show as that.
I feel this way every show. And Pete, what about you? Any kind of you've done award shows.
My answer is always how much. So if it was like the show to award best bullet and barrel of oil, I'd be like, my principal, how much? No, I would host most things. Anything I believe in. Yeah.
The MBS award show, Inside Live from Riyadh. It's the Mohammed bin Salman award show hosted by Pete Dominick. That's right. Just one horrible joke after the other. Hey, folks, I used to do a joke about, I was in Saudi. I opened for a beheading. Folks, I'll be here all week. Like that.
I wouldn't do that joke at that gig.
No, not there, but I've done it in other parts of the Middle East.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I've done shows in the Middle East where it becomes like a prom show where you're just mocking. Like I was in Kuwait. I'm like, wow, Kuwait, boy, you make me miss Saudi Arabia, like that kind of stuff. And they would laugh. Or you'd crap on Lebanon when you're in Jordan, and they would all laugh. Like, it's just remarkable. All right, we're almost out of time. I want people to find out about your work. Carolina Hidalgo, what award show and where will you be hosting this award show? Tell us where people can find you.
I'm only going to be opening car dealerships in Burbank from now on.
Oh.
And check out, Carolina Danger to Hidalgo on Instagram. That's the only part of social media. I'm still a part of for now. And No Dogs in Space, Last Podcast Network. Check us out. We also do a live stream every other Monday, Last Podcast Network TV on Twitch and YouTube. And it is a boatload of laughs. So
and
I think
Pete
check it out.
/ Joe Coy, where can people find out more about your work?
So you know what, Dean?
Uh-oh.
In March 22nd, 23rd, I'll be in Vegas with a bunch of our friends, but not you. Ophira Eisenberg and Christian Finnegan and JL Covan are all going to join me, and I'm hosting a weekend of podcast recordings and stand-up comedy and music. And maybe next year, Carolina can join us, or maybe even this year if she wants, if she's around Vegas. There's openings. And Dean, I hope that you'll, well,
can I simulcast it?
I would love to.
Where can people get tickets for this great show?
Just go to standupwithpete.com and listen to my podcast Monday through Saturday with every day. Yeah.
6 days a week you do?
I'm doing it now 6 days a week. Yep.
Wow. Boy, it takes me months to get an episode out. Jeez. 6 days.
You must have some tough executives over there.
Well, Carolina doesn't. I don't think Carolina is worried about her kids.
Right. So
I don't have any. I have a small
6
dog.
days a week. All right. You guys have been more than good. You've been very good. Almost great, I would say. I want to thank both of you, Carolina and Pete. Thanks so much for being on. Take a break. Come back.